whether your company has license, or when do even organizations have the license part, right? So very fundamental, but a very important key thing in any organization, right? So if you step in, you want to know whether your customer even possesses those Intune licenses. But for that, okay, so we'll have to understand the broader product scope of Microsoft, right? So if you look at their portfolio and most of their organizations, right? So they really don't have Intune as a separate license. Okay, so you might probably have one or two customers out of 100 customers that they buy Intune licenses for a certain reason. But 99% of the customers already have Intune license as a part of their subscription, which is either E3 or E5. Okay, so just a second. I'll have to take a call. 1 second, please. Sorry, hope you all can see my whiteboard. Can anyone say yes? Okay, thank you. So, okay. So this is how it is, okay? So every company has a M365 product suite, okay? So because this actually covers Office 365, which almost 99% of the organizations have it, right? There are very few customers with G Suite or other products. But we have M365 because this covers E3, okay? So this typically covers EMS, okay? So because now we have a different product. EMS includes Intune plus Microsoft Cloud Application, your threat protection, AAD premium, okay, P2. But in addition to that, it also covers almost the Defender for Office, Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Identity. So Defender for Cloud Apps is again the same product, okay, the Cloud Apps. So when I say again Office 365, as everyone knows, it's Exchange Online, your emails, your SharePoint, and once you have SharePoint, you'll have OneDrive and also Teams. Okay. So Teams, ShareDrive, OneDrive is all built on the same architecture. Okay. So Exchange is purely emails. In order to protect your Office 365 data, you actually need the Defender for Office, which is your security product for Office. And in order to provide the devices, you also need the Defender for Endpoint. And the other product that you actually get with M365 is your Windows subscription, Enterprise. Okay. So you cannot really buy Enterprise outside. Okay. Because if you buy a laptop today, it'll be a Windows Pro version. That's the highest edition that you can buy commercially. The Enterprise is only given for an enterprise by Microsoft. You should either have a volume licensing agreement or EA agreement or a E3 or an E5 subscription. So M365 E3 or E5 is the license that every customer will have it. Okay, I'm talking about every customer who has more than 300 seats. An M365 Business Premium, okay, Business Premium is the next license, which almost covers the entire features, but this is less than 300 seats, and this is for more than 300 seats. Okay, so that is how people buy subscriptions. They will not separately buy Intune. Okay, There is a Intune per device license. There is a Intune per user license if someone wants to buy a product, but you can actually buy any of the products separately. Okay, you can only buy Exchange Online, yes. You can only buy Teams, yes. You can only buy Intune. You can only buy Azure AD Premium P1, P2. You can only buy Defender for Endpoint. All the products can be bought separately. Okay, but organizations don't do that. They either go with the subscriptions E3 or E5. So same thing goes with business premium, which is again covers some of the products. Okay, but this is at a high level, but you actually now need to understand how actually all that works, right? So how do you even verify what do I have, where do I go, how do I even purchase, right? If you actually look at the comparisons, if I go Microsoft 365 E3 versus E5 plans, right? So if you look at it, compare plans today, that's your first thing that you get. So you need to understand the product tree first, right? So then you can really understand what are the things that are covered. If I click on M365 here, this product, right? So if you cover this, and if you actually look at it, this is approximately in Indian pricing E3 with no teams. Okay. Earlier they were actually providing teams. Okay. But you now don't get teams because there were some legal issues in Europe. Okay. So because the teams like Cisco WebEx, Zoom, okay, all the others actually filed a legal thing, and there was an issue like where they were saying Teams is being sold as a part of some kind of a subscription where we don't have a competitive edge, so it becomes a business challenge for other companies to sell, right? So that's why they have separated that product. But more or less, you'll actually get okay. Their trick is they've reduced this price, okay, and Teams can be bought separately, okay, always. So if you look at this M365 E3 or E5, okay, let's see what we have. So of course you'll get all the apps. Main importantly, Exchange Online. You'll get SharePoint. You'll get OneDrive. So streaming is again a video thing. Okay, so you'll have Microsoft Bookings for booking calendar. Okay, so you have Viva Engage, and Viva Engage is nothing but your Yammer, a social networking with your company. So of course you'll get Visio, okay, so Forms, Power Apps, Power Automate, Microsoft Today. All these are just related to uh, Office, okay. So if I actually come down in more detail, okay, so these are all, so this is the thing, right? So E3 and E5, this is what you actually need to compare. You see, the way they talk about it is not the products, features. You see, email, calendar, and scheduling you can actually do. So all these are related to the Office 365 platform. But when you actually scroll down and you start seeing the information protection, now you will start seeing plan 1, plan 2, and then threat protection. Okay. So you see Defender for Office 365, Defender for Identity is not part of E3. Okay. It's only part of E5. Okay. So you again, this is an MCAS solution. Okay. So again, only the API connectors and reverse proxy is a part of it. Okay. So identity and access management, which is your Azure AD, which is nothing but Enter ID, which has plan 1 and plan 2. So this is where you have actually Intune. Okay. Endpoint and app management. Have you even seen the word Intune here? No, right? But they just talk about the features. So both E3 and E5 and even F3 covers, you see, deploy software, protect data, monitor health, security policies, business apps, private, personal, mobile devices with Microsoft Intune. Okay. So these things are the one that we will be covering in this chapter, in this course. Okay. So finally, what do we have? We also have Windows Enterprise. Windows Enterprise, Windows 11 Enterprise is also part of E3 or E5 license. Okay. So it's a subscription license. Okay, very simple, right? So if you are assigned an M365 E5 license, you join an organization today, with like your name at organization.com. And if a person and if your admin assigns a M365 E3 E5 license, you will actually get all of these products within 1 hour. Okay, your email inbox gets created, your OneDrive space gets created. Okay, so you'll have all of your details. Okay, so and then you'll get a separate space within your Defender for endpoint. Uh, you will be ready to enroll your devices to Intune. Okay, so you'll be logging in with your Azure AD credentials. You'll be able to set up your Microsoft Authenticator, passkeys, everything. Okay, so that is how an organization assigns license to anyone who joins. Okay, very basic. It's M365 E3, E5 or Business Premium or F3, F5 Frontline. And then there is again student license, university license. There are so many different kinds of licenses. Okay, when you are in this page, okay, so if someone wants to get into details of what exactly each everything compares, right? This is a page that you need to download. Okay, so if you get a full comparison PDF file, okay, so and if you open that, this is what it covers everything. If someone wants to know what is covered, what is not covered in E3 and E5, this is a page or this is a PDF that they need to refer. I'll just quickly run through this PDF because I'll tell you how you actually need to read this page. Okay, so if you look at this M365 Office 365 EMS, which is Enterprise Mobility and Security, and Windows 11 subscriptions, it talks about all different products. On the first thing that you see here, it's M365 E3 E5. If this is one product, okay, M365 E3 is one subscription, M365 E5 is another subscription, M365 E5 Security is another subscription. Okay, it is only security products, and these are only compliance products. Okay, or if you don't want to use anything related to security or Intune or any other thing, on only email, SharePoint, OneDrive, okay, you people will have Office 365 E3 or E5 license. Okay, and then again Windows 11. Okay, whether if someone buys Windows 11 separate license, they'll come to know what the features. The way you actually read is very simple. So you need to find out which is your license in your organization, right? How do you get it? So the easiest portal is you need to actually go to admin.microsoft.com, right? Or entra.microsoft.com or portal.azure.com. So I'll usually go to admin.microsoft.com. So this is my, not everyone might have this subscription, but if you actually go here in the billing section, your products, right? So this is your products. So in the product section, you will actually see. Okay, sorry, in the licenses section, you'll actually see these licenses here. Okay, so if you look at it, I have available licenses and I have assigned licenses. I have EMS E5, Microsoft 365 E5, which is the most powerful license, and Defender for Endpoint, the costliest license, right? So these two, with these two alone, you can actually test everything, almost all of your products. But these are just additional add-ons, okay? Like Intune Plan 2, you don't get. Intune Suite is a mixture of all the Intune products. So Intune Suite is the highest uh, license with related to Intune. Okay, so how do we really identify all of these, right? So we need to have so many other licenses. Okay, so I have Office 365 E5. Okay, so I have Endpoint Privilege Management, which is a separate product. I have Defender for Office. Okay, but mm, my biggest license is M365 E5. If I click on that, okay, and if I click on that, and if you see, if I scroll down and if you see, okay, manage subscription details here, you will see what exactly is covered in M365 E5. Okay, so where do you check that is where is it? Okay, so view apps and products. Dun, dun, dun. I'm not eligible. Okay, some marketplace licenses. So I go on this. No, there's some problem in this page. Okay, so the other place where you can actually check is your Microsoft itself. Okay, so I mean, remember these URLs. It's very simple, right? So it's admin.microsoft.com for managing all the admins, administrations of all the other products. But entra.microsoft is purely your Azure AD, which is Entra ID. So again, here billing licenses. Okay, so all products. So here you can just select any of these products, which I will be selecting this one. Okay, licensed features. Okay, so these are all the license features, but I don't know what happened. Okay, it says adding, removing, reprocessing license is only available in admin center. Okay, so I don't know what's the problem, but I'll see to that whether it's a browser issue or any other thing. So, but actually what actually happens is we'll just come to know what each product covers. Okay, so maybe I'll do a different thing. Okay, so here, okay, say for example, I have a user. You can actually check the products that are covered with these M365 E5. Okay, so I have this license without audio conference. You see, this is a part of the Teams, avatar in Teams. Okay, it's this guy, this person who joined the organization has been assigned a license with AI, Azure Information Protection P1 and P2. He has rights management. You have all these other features. Okay, Exchange Online Plan too. Okay, so you can graph connectors, insights. Okay, so he has information protection, premium, standard, audit. So many other bookings, phone systems. There are few things for us which is important is this particular one, like Defender for M365 Defender, and then cloud apps, Defender for endpoint. Okay, this particular one, Defender for identity. Okay, finally, for us, the most important thing is whether this particular user has been assigned an Intune license or not. Okay, as you can see, this guy is already assigned a Intune license. Okay, so it's always we need to come and check. You don't have to come here. Okay, so that's available already in the Intune portal to check whether a person is assigned a license or not. Okay, so finally, you can already also see that this guy is Windows 10, 11 Enterprise subscription. So basically, what it means is if he logs into any mission, okay, so the base operating system is already has a valid digital or the OEM license, he can be step up, okay, from a professional edition to the enterprise edition. Okay, he cannot take a pirated operating system and then sign with his office account and then he'll not get upgraded to enterprise. Okay, that will not work unless he has a valid base Windows licensed activated version like a professional edition on an OEM machine. He will not get upgraded to enterprise. Okay, so the meaning is this guy will get an upgrade license to enterprise. So same like universal print, right? So that's again a very popular product right now. So again, Windows Update for Business, which is your patch management for Intune and then Autopatch. Okay, so you can see almost all of your products are covered with one single license. Okay, so this E5 probably has more features. If it's E3, which who some of the companies with limited budget, they'll always have E3 because E3 again covers the most important things, but basic. So there are few customers who have E3 for few users, E5 for top level users, right? So and some other additional add-ons for some more executives or anyone. Okay, so that is how you actually look at it. But coming back to this window, right? So same thing, M365, E3 or E5. Let's actually cover it up. This is all about meetings, emails, and chat. You need to check what is covered. Okay, so if you look at dot, it's covered. Okay, you can see Exchange Online Protection, Outlook, all these are covered in E3 and E5. If you look at this plus, it means that you can buy it additionally. Okay, you don't get it by default, you can buy it additionally with additional charge. You can see this, both of them get 1 TB of OneDrive storage, E3 and E5 on all this is, right? This is project, planner, to do, Viva Insights, Viva Learning, and then coming back, DLP. Okay, so this is again a cloud access broker. So just for your information, the cloud access security broker is a product where they can track all the online cloud applications activity from your laptops. Okay, say for example, if you want to just upload something to Google Drive, that will be monitored, activated, and blocked. Okay, so that is your, this is your, that's your product. Okay, so DLP again comes with like leaking of information from Teams, and endpoint DLP is leaking of information from your endpoint. Okay, so endpoint DLP again, which we will be looking at, is part of the Defender for Endpoint plus Purview, and then where we can block USB, where you can block upload of certain files. Okay, so all of that from it. So again, this is information protection. The few things, it's a separate product. E5 covers almost all of the features. So identity and access management, which we will be covering in most detail compared to after Intune. This would be what we would be covering when it comes to conditional access, MFAs. Okay, so free plan version. You can see we have two versions. One is plan 1, the other one is plan 2. So E3 and E5. You can see we are having a lot of features with E5. So then finally comes our product, which is endpoint and app management, which talks about the entire Intune part. So P1, okay, so plan 1, E3 and E5 covers MDM, MAM, Windows Autopilot, group policy support for the GPO for apps, cloud policy service for M365, shared computer activation, endpoint analytics, all of that will be covered with this. So in addition to that, this is what we are talking about. Again, Defender for Endpoint Plan 1 is part of E3 and E5. But if you really want Defender for Plan 2, which is the most advanced license, you need to have E5 as a license. Okay, so this is how you actually cross-check with this table of what exactly features your customer is entitled. Okay, simply by checking what license they have. All you need to ask them is what license they have and come to this table and check what are the things that you can configure and what are their things. Okay, you can look at this when it comes to Windows. Both E3 and E5 cover almost entire Windows features. AVD, Windows 365 Enterprise Access. Keep in mind, okay, so this is not Windows 365 product. It's a win for license for a Windows 365 PC that you're using, the cloud PC that you're using. So universal print. Okay, so people who don't know about universal print, it's like we might have heard of printers, right? Printers in your Active Directory, right? So earlier what used to happen is almost all of your printers was registered to your directory services, which is your on-premise Active Directory, and those were published to the end users, and those were appearing on your endpoint devices. People used to just click on Control P, which is print, and then they had options to go to the nearest printers, and they already had displayed printers. Okay, and the printers are already pre-configured on your Windows laptops based on the location, based on the nearest printer. So you don't have to have an on-premise solution now. Okay, so you don't need to have a GPO, you don't need to have any print services. The all of your printers can be published to the universal print. It's a cloud-based solution. Okay, so again, you don't have to really spend a lot of it. If you already have E3 and E5, you already have that license. So again, Windows Update for Business Deployment Service. Again, this is extension of your Windows Update for Business, which is your patch management solution in Intune, which is nothing but a patch policy deployment tool. Okay, not exactly a patch management. So Autopatch, okay. So okay, so few like okay, so people who are talking about the patch management. Okay, so just to give some background, for nearly last 20 years, we have been patching the laptops. We have been patching desktops, servers as a regular business operations work, right? So we had WSS traditionally, where it's a feature of Windows server operating system where we used to download patches from the internet, right? And then deploy those patches from the server machine to the client machines that are there in your company's network. But as we now have laptops, remote devices, it's very difficult, right? So we still had machines like WSS, and it's good if you have WSS and servers, you can easily patch because most of the servers is not reachable to the internet, or you don't want to choke your bandwidth for all the server patch deployment. So WSS or SCM or your traditional patch management systems like Ivanti or Remedy, it all works fine. But when it comes to Windows client machines, like, if you want to deploy patch patches from a central server to all of your clients, it'll choke your corporate network. And then if you have remote devices, they have to connect to the VPN, right? So the quickest solution, even when people had SCM, was if they are not in the corporate company's network, the fallback is to go to the internet and fetch an update directly from the Windows Update Services, which is your internet. The same thing what exactly Intune is actually doing. So many people get confused. Is Intune a patch management tool? No, it is a patch policy deployment tool, which will be able to download patches, which will not send, Intune will not send patches to the machine. Okay. So Intune will send a patch policy, and based on the patch policy, the Windows machine will act and download the patches accordingly. Okay. So based on when to download, how to download, and how to behave after it downloads. So that is your Windows Update for Business. But Windows Auto Patch is literally taking off the people's job who is doing the patch management. Okay, so if you look at Windows Auto Patch is a separate subscription where you need to pay money to Microsoft, and Microsoft takes care of the complete patch management for your devices. The only condition is they have to be Azure AD joined and they have to be Intune managed. Okay, their SLA as of today is 98%. Okay, so in other words, your machines are always connected to the internet and they'll be pushing updates. If you subscribe to Windows Auto Patch, they will automatically add the machines, and whichever the machines that you have admin as a power to segregate the machines and add and modify the device groups or device collections, whatever you call. But the patch management process, if the device is connected to online for a certain period of time, the device will be patched automatically. So that is the feature of your patch management. Same thing goes with enterprise apps. Okay, so enterprise apps is a thing that you need to purchase again. It's a different thing. You don't need to package applications. Okay, we'll talk about that and I'll show you how it actually works. So, uh, because people who come from the application packaging background, right? So, uh, I'm not saying that the new enterprise app management that Microsoft is coming up with will remove your application packaging things. For a bigger enterprise, for a huge number of applications that would still exist, but for small organizations, right? So Microsoft has a couple of vendors who will package applications and they are already available in the gallery. Okay, so in other words, customers don't have to package applications and push applications to endpoints. Uh, they have a target of somewhere around top 8,000 applications that they will package. As of today, I think they have reached 1,000, maybe in a couple of years. So they already have telemetry, right? So they have the data as to which are the mostly used applications, like Adobe, 7-Zip, AutoCAD, all of these applications, right? So this is SAP, all the top applications. Okay, so they're already there. They've already added. You can go to the website and check. If you go to Windows and go to Add and select something called as Enterprise App Catalog, which is again a subscription, right? So you need to pay additional amount for it because you don't have to package applications, right? So uh, I don't know whether if this has. So you can just search, okay? So you can just select an application mostly, and then select see, all these are typical applications, okay? A lot of list, okay? So these are all the top applications according to Microsoft's telemetry that people are using in an enterprise. So these are all the applications that will be available for you to deploy for free. And so again, Microsoft is taking the responsibility of even updating the app as and when the vendor releases an application, right? So these are all the typical common applications we are using, right? Cisco, WebEx, see, as you can see, right? So there's so many applications, ESET, Endpoint Antivirus, Eclipse for all the developers, right? So we have different versions also. You can click anything that you want and then select the configurations. You don't have to add anything and select the applications, configuration, select, say everything is automatically populated, including installation commands and installation commands. All you have to do assign is just for the users and the devices. Okay. Anyways, so that is what I really wanted to cover. So that's a licensing part. Yeah. So this is where, okay, I'm coming back. Okay. So this is all the overall E3 and E5. So this add-on subscription, the way you read this page is it's already written here. It's included, or you can buy, you can add, or it's partially included, right? So in addition, say for example, you have E3. Okay, but you want something like plan 2. Okay, so you can come here and buy. Okay, so it's come here and buy and check whether you can buy it or not. Okay, so it all depends what you want. Okay, so this is an add-on subscriptions. Suddenly you need to buy Intune plan 1 P1. Okay, so it's already available, you don't have to buy. But if you have plan 2, you can actually buy. Okay, so so you see plus plus, so it means that you can actually buy. Suddenly if you feel a new product like internet access or a private access, which is the most powerful and talked about solutions, right? So people who are already there in this Intune field and who are working in an organization. So this is the next big thing that anyone can imagine, right? So it literally get gets rid of your VPN solution. Okay, so it's a mixture of VPN plus Zscaler web proxy firewall. So an app proxy. So plus you can actually buy an internet access and then private access. So again, Intune endpoint privilege management is an additional license. Cloud PKI, again, see this cloud PKI again is a replacement of your on-premise PKI infrastructure, right? So PKI is again your public key infrastructure it is handled by your security team or your AD team, right? So ADCS is nothing but a feature of Active Directory Certificate Services, which deploys certificates to all of your network devices like endpoints and servers, right? So if you want to deploy certificates, traditionally, we always had a huge PKI infrastructure. To understand a PKI itself is a very complex thing. And then it takes years to master PKI skill, right? You'll in some companies there is a like banks, like Wells Fargo, JPMC. They have at least 15 to 20 PKI engineers, right? So masters of PKI, certificate, cybersecurity. That PKI becomes complex in banking systems or financial organization. So to talk to them as an Intune admin, it's always challenging. People who already have worked with Intune, and then if your task is to deploy certificates by integrating Intune with PKI, you probably would understand the complexity, right? So it's tough to talk to those people and then get your task done. So the two options, you can master at least basics and then get things done. Or if your company has good budget, they can go ahead and deploy cloud PKI, which the entire PKI infrastructure is again hosted by Microsoft. You just need to buy license and deploy the certificates seamlessly without talking to anyone right away from Intune. Okay, it's an additional license, but wonderful product. Okay, that's the if someone wants to deploy certificate-based authentication for Wi-Fi access or VPN access. Okay, so we'll talk about that. But Cloud PKI is a great upcoming feature. So, but by looking at all these things, one thing you guys need to really understand is that the way the things have been working for all these years is not the same, right? So, uh, um, the work actually becomes easier. One second. The work actually, things actually gets easier, right? So the skills completely gets changed. Okay, so I am not saying that people will not have a job. Having an interesting and a passionate job is important, right? So there are people who are still working with um, traditional group policy, right? There are people who are still working with Exchange on premise, even after 14 years of Exchange online and M365, sorry, Office 365 solutions. It's not that you'll not have a job, so you might not have an interesting job, or you might not have multiple jobs available in the market as and when you actually go, right? So what I really want to tell is uh, we will purely be covering 90% more on what the future of Intune or M365, or how the companies would start leveraging the products. Okay, so my focus is that, so that at least you'll be benefited. Okay, so it's a very good thing if you actually talk something new in an interview. Okay, so the interview questions might be old because the people who are interviewing you will never know about internet access and intra private access. Okay, so it's not easy, right? So it's better you learn and be well ahead in the market. So a question in the chat, is hybrid authentication covered? So what exactly is that? What's your name? Sorry, is that Samsung? Hey Ali, so okay, so if you can't unmute, if I understand what is yeah, yeah, well, I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, so actually in our company, there are on-premise Windows accounts. So to access this cloud services, I believe hybrid authentication has to be configured so that on-premise Windows accounts will be able to access the cloud services of all the Office 365 products.
That's anyways already there. Okay, so that is happening in almost all organizations, right? So if you really mean the accounts are actually being synchronized to your Azure AD or Entra ID from your on-premise, you create a user in on-premise Active Directory, and then those
Yeah.
users are synced in Azure AD, and those are licensed there. That is how it is always there. That is how 99% of the organizations are right now there, right? So when you say what I'll be covering, okay, of course, you need to understand that this basics, right? Every user is actually previously even today gets created in Active Directory.
Yeah.
Okay, right? So you join an organization, your HR system like a Workday or an SAP or any other Oracle People's Manager, or whatever HR tool they use, right? Those HR tools are still integrated with your Active Directory, your on-premise Active Directory.
Yeah.
So those are those users get created, your phone numbers, your address, your job designation, managers, everything get added there, and then they have automation which creates a user in Active Directory. Right, so Active
Mm.
Directories are still created there. Okay, so you will always have Active Directory, and there is a tool called as AD Connect, right? So everyone should know. Okay, if not, we'll discuss that. Okay, so AD Connect
Oh,
is a tool that's actually synchronize your users to enter ID. There, that is where your starting point is for us. Okay, once you have a user there in Azure AD, you start licensing that user and start consuming the services, online services. Okay,
okay.
but your devices are still joined to your traditional Active Directory, right? So that
Yes.
is when your devices will become something called as a hybrid AD, right?
Yeah.
Hybrid joint, right? So hybrid joint is
Yeah.
nothing but your device is joined to Azure AD in the cloud and also joined to Active Directory in the cloud. Sorry, in on-premise. Okay, so we'll talk
Yes.
about that. Okay, so let me just share my screen. I thought we'll cover that tomorrow, but so if you look at this, okay, for people who are new, it's fine. Okay, okay. So what? I want anyone to just answer this. What is Entra ID?
Like the device in the on-premise and as well as
No, no.
in the
I'm asking what is Entra ID?
Identity management.
in completely
Just
managed.
Entra ID is like Azure Identity Access Management.
Okay. So what does it do? What is its role?
It will
I
give
mean, it just it just you can you can create objects in the Azure Active Directory, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a new name Entra ID, and
Mm-hmm.
like you can assign users, you can assign roles on Active Directory, not the Azure resources. So you can manage and create objects, and you can manage your network and device and users. Basically, identity access management system.
Okay. So what is this AD?
Active Directory, that is Active Directory. Yeah.
Okay. So how is this
on-premise.
different
On-premise.
from this?
ID is cloud.
This is on-prem, and Entra ID is on cloud.
Is it the same?
What I can understand is Entra ID is somewhere you are close to your Active Directory or exactly a replica of your.
Intra-ID is nothing but identity access management, which actually manage cloud and Active Directory, premises and cloud directory as well.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you okay to quickly answer, okay. So if you look at Exchange, right? So what we have Exchange, we had Exchange servers. Everyone knows what is Exchange server. Exchange on-premise server, right? So it wasn't an on-premise server. So people had a server. They used to install Exchange software on-premise. Okay. What Microsoft did is instead of you managing, they said, I will manage the same Exchange server in the cloud. Okay. What Microsoft did was they took this Exchange server, more or less, they just built another server. It is now called as Exchange Online, right? They are only giving console access to this one for you. But in the back end, it's still the exchange, more or less exchange. Okay. Same way, if you look at our own, any on-premise traditional to cloud solutions, right? Pick up any product. Okay. So be it SAP's product. They say we move to cloud. SAP had a server where they used to install all these databases. They say they moved to cloud. Literally, they moved their entire instance to the cloud and they're managing it. But this particular AD, right? It's not like that. Okay. So they did not move this to this because this AD was a hierarchical database, right? So we had users, we had devices, we had all these network devices like printers. This was able to do LDAP authentication, Kerberos authentication, and so many other things, right? So it's a pure on-premise solution. For us, mainly focus, we only have C users and devices. But when Entra ID is nothing but your IAM, okay, which is your identity and access management solution. So which is nothing but something similar to your Okta, right? So we need users there in Entra ID. The easiest way Microsoft identified is I take all these users and I'll copy it here. Okay, so they placed a service in between called as AD Connect, AAD Connect, which is Azure AD Connect. Back in 2012, 13, only users were able to sync. So basically, you join an organization, your HR system gets the users here. Like, say for example, someone like, Vinod joined an organization. The Vinod user is getting created here. And just the Vinod and Vinod's attributes like phone numbers and then your everything gets synchronized here. Okay. And then later on, as and when something Microsoft came up with, then they started adding attributes. The recent one was the device attributes. Devices were never being synced for a long time, okay, for 3-4 years after after Azure AD or Office 365 introduced, right? So the device we now start synchronizing devices that were joined to Active Directory. If you had a device today, if you joined a device to Active Directory, you can actually synchronize that particular device object to Entra ID. Just the device ID, just the username and few attributes of device. We are just copying for the convenience. It is nothing, it is not an Active Directory mode here. Okay. Is this clear or any confusion? Right? It's not a server in the cloud. It's not an Active Directory in the cloud. It's not any kind of, because Active Directory in the cloud, Microsoft has another product called as Entra ID Domain Services. That is nothing but a server in the cloud. It's like this, exactly like a server where there you can do all of the GPO policies, you can do all of the Kerberos authentication, you can do everything that you have. The only difference is you don't have to manage that server. You don't have to patch that server. You will not have no network configuration, anything. It is already staying in the server. They'll only give an IP address and RDP for you. So that's a different product. So never get confused with Entra ID. For us, that is the most important thing, with the local on-premise Active Directory. Still questions? Any questions?
I have one doubt not related to this one. Like
Okay.
for Intune access, which license, P1, P2, both license should be there for user for Intune?
Access
With
means what access?
not like admin access, like user should be managed by the Intune, like autopiloting we need to do for the device for that user, and the device should be in the device Intune portal. That everything like Entra join we'll have, right?
See,
The
for the device, we have two different things, right? So to answer your simple questions, if you already know, then for Autopilot and Intune to work, they need Entra ID P1 plus Intune license
okay, P1 and Intune license are required both.
are required.
Okay.
Intune license is required to manage the device, to deploy policies, deploy apps and everything. Entra ID P1 is required for autopilot because autopilot relies on something called as automatic join. So the automatic enrollment. So automatic enrollment upon a device being joined to Azure AD, for that P1 is needed. So basically for autopilot P1 is needed.
Okay. P2 is for come like admin.
P2 is that particular user gets a different features like privilege management, all the other things.
Okay. Okay.
We will talk about that. Okay, so don't get for others it might be confusing, but I think it answered your question, right? So
Yeah. Yes. I
because we
understood.
have two sections, so autopilot is relying on Entra ID,
Okay.
right? You know that if you know. Okay, so if you don't know, then just leave it. We'll just discuss that.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Thank you.
So no
Hi,
problem.
Raj. I have one query. You will provide the user ID and password, or we have to create the ID and password to for
See, I can
platform?
do that if you want access to my lab, but I would suggest you start using your lab. I'll tell you how to create your own labs. If
Okay,
you
and that would be
don't
for
have
30 days.
time, I don't know. Yeah, it will be for 30 days and you can extend it for another 2 weeks, I think, 15 days. Okay, but we'll discuss that. Okay, so next week, but uh, it will, you all need to have some kind of a subscription. Okay, so uh, the thing is, earlier we had EMS subscription, which is valid for 90 days, and we used to, but because everyone nowadays have been subscribing and just leaving it, they have now reduced to somewhere around 30 days, and that too very basic. But I really need to check. Okay, so what is
Yeah, that
now that is
yeah, actually that
available?
is a
Okay.
big challenge actually for the person who are already working on Intune, that they can do everything. But if I don't have the ID, then within 30 days it is expired. So
Hmm.
it's very problematic.
No worries. Okay, so when we were learning, we had around 8 to 9 accounts. So you can create another email ID and do another subscription. Okay, so that's not a big thing. But
Okay.
we'll see. Okay, whoever wants, usually for people who find it very challenging, but to set up labs, I give the credentials. I create users and give the credentials. Whoever wants to access my lab, also I can give them. They can enroll the devices. The only thing is, if you have your own lab, you'll find the problems. You'll understand. Oh, and because mine everything is ready, right? So you need to, if someone needs to start from scratch. Okay, so it's better for them to go subscribe, click on thing. Okay, don't worry about the credit card. It may ask for some credit card information, and then it will not deduct money. Okay, so it may deduct 1 or 2 rupees, and then it will refund, and then you can always delete your
Okay.
credit card
So
information.
after
Okay,
30
so
days, I
nothing will
have
happen.
to after 30 days I have to unsubscribe, or it will end
No,
at.
you can no, it will not automatically subscribe. So, but on a safer side, just go ahead and delete the credit card information there. Okay,
Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot.
that's all. So, anyways, we'll take 1 or 2 examples, and you all can share your screen, and we'll do that. So, very important suggestion. If anyone wants to join, right? So please attend all the classes. It has to be a healthy two-way conversation. Unless everyone is committed, unless there are few people who just want to listen. Don't come, please. Okay, so you have so many YouTube videos. Unless really want to see the result, unless someone wants to understand end to end, whatever at least being whatever topics we discussed, please attend. Okay, so for people who are listening also, it's fine. Okay, there I'm not forcing everyone to speak, everyone to participate, everyone to do labs and all. There's not compulsion. So there are few people who are in a higher positions who just want to understand the product to whatever extent they are. They may not be the implementers, even that's fine. There are few people who really want to do the job. When I say in the live production environment, at least for them, please have your own labs, or at least if you already have your customers' labs for people who are already working, it's great. And for people who are not working, please, I would request you to dedicate 1 hour, 2 hours, on an average at least 4 to 5 hours per week. Okay, so because if you lose the touch, right, so it's not comfortable to come back. Okay? The comfort zone is something luxurious. Okay, so you don't touch, you'll forget it. Okay, you'll not come back. So that's all I wanted to say. But anyways, coming back to this topic, right, about I wanted to cover this in great detail, but okay, I have another 10 minutes because there's another course with this. Today and tomorrow, it'll be mostly 1 hour, 1 hour, 20 minutes of classes, but from next Saturday, Sunday, it will be 2 hours Saturday and 2 hours Sunday. Okay? And people who are okay, if everyone are okay, everyone in the batch is okay to cover some of the December holidays during Christmas, we can finish up well before New Year. It's all up to you guys, okay? Coming back to this topic. Okay. So if you look at the last picture, so if you, since most of you guys are already working, so almost all of your devices, if it's, you can either identify by the way you log in. Okay, there are few traditional laptops, or even if you're logging into remote servers, you'll usually log in your company. Like, if it is a wipro.com / your username and then password, right? That's your domain and then your username and then password. So that is typically the way people log in, which is again authenticating to your domain controller, right? So it's not, and then there are few customers who, end users who log in with just the UPN, right? Use UPN. Okay, so typically that's how the Azure AD join, the second way of joining. If the devices are joined to Entra ID, that's how they are logged in. Okay, so every laptop that is being built back in the days, they join the device to your Active Directory, right? This particular Active Directory. It means that your device object is there in Active Directory. Okay. So this object, say for example, the device is ABC. Okay, this ABC is here in Active Directory. So using a synchronization tool called Azure AD Connect, the device is now being synchronized here. Okay, so this ABC is right now here. So let me just. I'm not even discussing this in detail or showing anything. Okay, for a person who just asked a question, I'm just answering what is hybrid AD join, what is Entra ID join, and what is Entra ID registered. I'll just start from here. So this ABC, if a person joins, this ABC is here. If you go to domain controller and see the device is here. So using Azure AD synchronization, this is a sync tool, you get the ABC here. Right? That's all. The ABC is still here. Nothing has done. Okay, so this particular user named user U, okay, he can authenticate to this domain controller for always signing in. But the way, if he joins this, okay, if he joins this particular device to Entra ID, okay, J is join. Okay, so then this ABC will now be marked as hybrid AD. Okay, so you need to understand the thing, okay? If you join the organization, or say for example, you already have this in ABC. By synchronizing, this ABC will still be there, okay? Your ABC device is just copied, okay? It has no meaning in your Entra ID, okay? But if he takes the same laptop and joins the device to Azure AD. How does he join? Again, he can go to settings, he can run a command, okay, he can do autopilot, okay, or whatever methods that he does, that he will go in and join. The time when he joins, this particular device becomes an hybrid AD join. Okay, so he join, that is okay. So whether you are confused or not, just leave it. Now coming back to this particular section, you take a brand new laptop, okay, you power it on, and as soon as you power on the machine, okay, so people will see this option here on the right hand side. Can you see this option here? Setup for organization. They'll click on this and I'm talking about the brand new laptop. Okay, as soon as you do a laptop, you just connect to the internet and you will see these two options, right? Click on this setup for an organization. And when you do that, that will now join the device to Entra ID. Okay, the meaning of joining the device to Entra ID is because it's you're using company's data, right? Company account, username and password, abc@wipro.com, and then your password. So you can always log in with your company account. You can log into Windows machine with your company account and username, just like email ID and password. Okay, in the back end, it has actually joined the device to Azure AD. So that is exactly the simple meaning of Azure AD join machine. Basically, you can log in with your Azure AD. Any questions here? Okay, the way you log into Azure AD is very simple, right? So if you, this is where you log in. This will join the machine to our Azure AD. Okay, same thing. Okay, I'll show you how it actually looks. So this is my Entra ID screen. Okay, so I'm just showing some sample devices. Okay. So if you look at all devices, okay, so this is my Entra ID, which is nothing but, where I logged in, I just logged into my Entra ID account. So these are the devices which are already there, okay. So if you look at this thing, okay, on the right hand side, you see here, the joined type is joined, okay. This is again joined, this is just registered. If this same machine is already joined to the traditional Active Directory, it will now show as hybrid AD join. Instead of Entra join, it will now show as hybrid AD join. So that is the meaning of join type, okay. Again, which device it is managed, okay. So all this is again, don't get confused, okay. So we'll not share about that, okay. So again, that's all. People who have not understood, it's fine, okay. Assume that I didn't even start what is Azure AD join. So any questions apart from that? So we'll cover about AD, hybrid AD, and we'll see about my machine and how it looks, what commands you can see, and how to disjoin and join. Okay, we'll do it live tomorrow. Any questions for today? I'm ending the class today. I'll just take up another 3 or 4 till 7:30. Any questions you have, let me know.
Raj,
I
will
have
you
a
get this
question.
recording? All of the sessions?
Yeah, you'll get within 2-3 hours, I think, your
Okay.
email address.
Oh, thanks. And I mean, how much have we to pay for this course?
I don't know, man. Wait, we can talk to Amit. Who's Amit? You guys are speaking to Amit?
I'm speaking to Rishabh.
Okay. So I'll just give you a phone number. Everyone, people who are not aware, you can actually speak to Amit, and then we can coordinate with Amit on the course fee and all. Okay. So 95406. I'll just put that in the chat window. 95406
Okay.
62806. Okay, so in India code +91. So just put that in the chat.